What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and I hope you're all doing well today. While Torghast Tower of the Damned has been a topic of contention for a lot of players, there have been a number of changes made to it on the patch 9.1 PTR in an effort to make it offer more incentives and rewards, as well as just to rework a lot of the main systems that go into it. One of the largest changes is a scoring system, which more or less judges your performance based on a variety of things, like how quickly you can clear your Torghast run, and how efficient you are at defeating all of the foes you came across. This scoring system is important to your Torghast progression because you need to reach a minimum score to unlock the next higher layer, unlike before where the only requirement was just to complete the run without running out of deaths. Before you fret too much though, don't worry, as the scoring system so far seems much more lenient than I originally thought, and today I'll be sharing with you a bit of insight so you know what sort of things will get you extra points. This isn't exactly a guide just yet, since there are a lot of things that can potentially change, but this should give you a pretty good idea of what to expect in 9.1 with Torghast. I'm still not too keen on the idea of a score system personally, but if it's something that's going to end up in 9.1 anyhow, then it's a really good idea to understand how it works, especially since the higher layers of Torghast is where a large amount of your new Soul Cinder currency for upgrading legendaries to ranks 5 and 6 comes from. So as I was saying earlier, you need to reach a minimum score to unlock the next layer in Torghast. You'll see this little UI thing pop up when you defeat your floor 5 boss of your Torghast run, and then there will be these glowy gem icons at the top, showing exactly how well you did on a scale of 1 to 5. Basically, you need 160 total points for a 4 gem clear, and at least 200 points for a flawless 5 gem clear. You only need to hit the 160 points to unlock the next layer of Torghast though. The 200 points for a flawless run is for a meta achievement, and for the Adamant Vaults, which is a special extra area, which is something you can unlock later. As you can see from this breakdown on my most recent Torghast run, the largest source of points is for completion. Completion means killing all the enemies on every floor, freeing all those lost souls that give you your primary stat buff, and breaking all of the urns and phylacteries or whatever you want to call them. Funny enough, it's actually possible to go over 100% completion somehow, which I'll kind of elaborate on in a moment. Next is the speed in which you clear your Torghast run is the next largest source of points, as you can earn up to 50 points for clearing it efficiently. I'm pretty sure most of my runs on the PTR have been anywhere between like 25 to 32 minutes, and that does also factor in that there's one less floor in 9.1, as there's only 5 floors to Torghast instead of 6. But the par time on higher layers is almost 42 minutes, which is pretty accommodating. Thankfully, with the most recent changes compared to other PTR builds, there are a ton of ways to get extra points. So even doing it solo, it's actually pretty easy to get well over 200 points, which is the highest rating of a flawless score, meaning there is plenty of wiggle room for time and error. Honestly, this was one of the biggest gripes I had with this new version of Torghast when it first got put on the 9.1 PTR, as doing it solo, it was actually really hard to get 200 points, but with these most recent changes in tuning, it is much more forgiving. One of the best changes they made recently is a rework to the empowerment system, which is another source of points that previously was a forced timer due to having to rack up kills and points for a sort of like hot streak effect. This basically meant you had to run around like a maniac, killing things and chaining kills and breaking urns back to back just to get into the empowered status, and as soon as you weren't killing things fast enough, then you lost your empowerment meter and you lost the extra points that you got for doing empowered stuff. So this has been made a lot more forgiving. The empowerment mechanic has been reworked into a bar that doesn't ever deplete, and simply fills up as you kill things and whatever in your Torghast run. Once you reach high enough on the empowerment bar, a special action button will appear, allowing you to manually trigger the empowered buff whenever you want. This will give you a 20% movement speed increase, a 10% haste buff, 15% leech, and all the stuff that you do while empowered now will give you double points. The empowered buff will slowly tick down, eventually running out, so you'll want to use this effect when there are lots of enemies to kill, urns to break, and other things that'll give you points. Speaking of other things, there are a lot of other ways you earn points, and I'm sure I haven't even found all of them yet. Hopefully they add some sort of an in-game chart to let you know what activities award what amount of points, but I have a feeling that won't be the case, and the burden will be shouldered on by someone who's probably already run Torghast like, oh, I don't know, 40-something hours, 60-something hours on the PTR. I don't know who that would be, but I'm sure there will be a guide or an informational thing about that sometime soon. Back on topic for scoring and bonus points though, we have the Hunter bonus, for example, which means that no elites were able to reach 4 stacks of unnatural power. Some of these bonuses are definitely harder to earn than others, which is reflected by the amount of points that they give. In contrast, Pillager gives a lot less points than Hunter, but it also just means that you destroyed a bunch of urns in your Torghast run, which is arguably a far easier task than nuking all of the elites. Rescuer is another easy way to earn some points, as you just have to free one of the many characters that you find in Torghast. These are the ones that give you a free anima power when you help them find like their lost bell, or their flute, or their sword, or their other irreplaceable super important item that they somehow lost for the 18,000th time. Yeah, those guys. A lot of these extra point rewards are just from really basic activities that you're probably already doing in your Torghast run, but some might not be immediately obvious, like the Daredevil bonus. This comes from killing 2 elite enemies within 10 seconds of each other, so that's another way to squeeze a little extra points out of your run if you see 2 elites that aren't in the same group of enemies, but if you pull them together and decide to cleave them down, then you can get a little extra bonus to your run. Plunderer is just for unlocking a chest in your Torghast run. Again, really free and easy points, since it's not like you're gonna skip a chest anyhow, or totally forget that you picked up all 3 of those blue frickin' keys but never went back to get your loot. That would never happen, never, no. Annihilator is a tricky one, since it requires nuking the last boss in the run in under 20 seconds. This is probably one of the easiest and hardest bonuses to get at the same time, since it's entirely luck of the draw if you get any good anima powers in your run, or if your class even has a set of anima powers that will let you nuke a boss that quickly. Hoarder is a bonus I didn't even realize was in the game till I got it by accident, but if you hold on to at least 500 Phantasma whenever you finish your Torghast run, then you'll get an extra 10 points for literally nothing. Collector is another easy point boost, since you just need to collect 30 anima powers in your whole run, which honestly, they've put a decent amount of them in the game, and usually I end most of my Torghast runs when I'm clearing everything with like between 40 to 50. And if you're clearing all the floors for your completion score, it's pretty easy to get that. Again, you only need to get 160 points to have access to the next layer of Torghast. So even if you don't get really good empowered buff bonuses, or you take a little longer to clear Torghast, it is looking to be a very lenient requirement if you're just looking to unlock your next layer. Simply clearing as much of each floor as you can, plus doing the run in a reasonable time frame, is enough to get you almost all the points for a 4-gem clear. Since by proxy, if you're clearing all the floors, then you'll be unlocking all the chests and freeing all the denizens of Torghast and breaking all the urns and all that, so that's just easy points here and there and it all adds up. Hitting 200 points is a little bit harder, but even then, it's not too difficult by any means, as I did all of this testing while solo, and it was pretty reasonable to hit 200 points on a very consistent basis. While I don't think this is going to make people love Torghast or anything, at the very least, this new system is already looking better than it did previously when they first put it on the PTR, as I was really unhappy with the way it was set up initially, and it felt way too punishing if you weren't doing things in a perfectly efficient manner. There is also the Box of Many Things, which is the new Torghast talent system that you'll be progressing on as well, which will help make these runs easier, but that's a topic for another video. Either way, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the Torghast changes currently on the 9.1 PTR, and I'll be sure to keep you folks up to date on any future changes as they're made known to us. If you enjoyed the video then, please consider leaving a like or a comment, as it's tremendously helpful to the way YouTube works its algorithm magic, so more new people can find out about the channel. And as always, my appreciation and gratitude to all of my viewers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.